Today we're diving straight into the boiling swamp of American culture. Forget the usual political soap operas. We're going deeper to the very DNA of the world's biggest superpower. And yes, we're talking about Donald Trump, the boldest, most controversial, and, let's say it politely, the most unrestrained president in modern times. But here is the twist. As one federal judge made crystal clear, Trump's conduct wasn't just controversial, it was unconstitutional, which raises the million-dollar question. How does a president who sees himself as the nation's savior from the deep state suddenly crashes into a wall of judicial resistance? How do the very people he despises end up blocking his decisions and sending him back to reread America's rulebook? So here is a surprising story. A federal judge in Boston, William G. Young, slammed the Trump administration's attempt to deport foreign students and researchers for supporting Palestinians. The judge called it ideological deportation and struck it down as violation of the First Amendment, the sacred amendment that protects free speech. And Judge Young didn't just whisper, he thundered. He declared that non-citizens legally living in the US enjoy the same free speech rights as Americans themselves. And he accused Trump's administration of deliberately trying to chill political expression by turning those students into scapegoats, warning others into silence. This lawsuit, led by professors, associations, and other organizations, became a landmark victory for freedom of speech on campus. Hello, I am Professor Gad Yair, and today we return to the American stage with one essential question. How can a single federal judge block an ideological crusade launched from the Oval Office itself? The answer, as I explain in my book, This is America, the answer is blunt, ironic, and even a little funny. In America, the law is king. And anyone who tries to dodge it, even the most powerful man alive, gets a constitutional slap in the face. To grasp why judicial criticism of Trump is so fierce, we have to rewind history. Back to America's primal trauma, the fear of arbitrary rule. Founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence listed 27 grievances against King George III. And what was at the heart of their anger? That the king refused to accept laws essential to the public good. He acted arbitrarily against them. And that clash, tyranny versus liberty, etched itself deep into America's cultural DNA. That is where the ethos of law is king was born. If in England the king is law, in America the law is king. As Thomas Paine declared months before independence, in America law is king. For as in absolute governments the king is law, so in free countries law ought to be the king. This was not just rhetoric, it was the foundation of freedom. And it still resonates today from Vermont to Texas. And it's not plain dusty history. School children learn it, citizens recite it, like their Miranda rights. You've seen them on TV time and again. You have the right to remain silent. Those rights bind every officer and every agency, and they stand above even the president himself. So what happens when President Trump barges into this system? His most extreme supporters saw him as a messiah sent to purge the deep state. Bureaucrats, judges, civil servants, they were all, in his words, corrupt conspirators. His followers believed he was fulfilling a divine mission. But reality collided with myth. Instead of a shining redeemer on Capitol Hill, Trump met the courts. Bureaucratic, methodical, mundane courts. And here is the shocker. In America, constitutional rights are sacred, even non-negotiable. If police arrest you without reading your Miranda rights, the whole case can collapse. That's how untouchable the Constitution is. Trump's battles did not appear from nowhere. They grew out of centuries of legal tradition holding presidents in America accountable to the law. Consider two historic rulings. In 1952, the Supreme Court struck down President Truman's attempt to seize steel plants during wartime. Commander-in-chief or not, he could not trample civilian rights. Earlier, the court invalidated Lincoln's use of military tribunals for civilians where civil courts were open. Even wartime couldn't erase constitutional safeguards. Again and again, judges told American presidents, "You are not a king." But here's the catch. Article 2 of the Constitution defining presidential power is shockingly short and ambiguous. Justice Robert Jackson called it the poverty of the Constitution regarding executive authority. And this ambiguity opens a twilight zone. When Congress is silent, presidents push their power to the limit, and the courts must draw the lines, which means every time a president like Trump challenges the rules, he is also testing America's founding ethos. Is the law truly king, or can raw executive power override it? As I demonstrate in my book, Americans grow up trained to be rights-bearing individuals, even against their own government. Any action that threatens those rights sparks outrage. That's why when Trump signed controversial immigration orders, lawsuits flew instantly, backed by judges and citizens who can recite constitutional amendments by heart. This is not just politics, it's cultural identity. So here we are, watching today's America. On one side, Trump, the superstar who harnesses fear and conspiracy theories. On the other, judges, sometimes faceless, sometimes forgotten, who quietly guard the written words of the Constitution. And history teaches us, even the strongest president can be impeached by Congress or blocked by the courts. Amid of all America's chaos, one cultural code remains firm. The law stands above everyone. And it is almost comical when you think about it. Imagine you're President of the United States, Commander of the Army and Navy, armed with the power of pardon that no one has. Yet you still must follow protocol. Step out of line and some judge will dust off a 250-year-old law book and smack you with it saying, "Sorry, Mr. President, but if you want to be a king, go back to England. This is America. Here, law is king." So even Trump, who tried to bend the mold, was reminded that America's cultural program, the one Jefferson, Madison, and their fellow founders carved out, keeps spinning on its rails. So, what do you think? Is the law truly king in America, or does the president hold too much power? Drop your thoughts below. Until next time, I am Professor Gad Yair, and this is America.